Welcome to episode 189 of the Business Development Podcast. And today's episode is all about you. It's Community Questions November 2024. Stick with us. You are not going to want to miss this episode.
The great Mark Cuban once said, "Business happens over years and years. Value is measured in the total upside of a business relationship, not by how much you squeezed out in any one deal." And we couldn't agree more. This is the Business Development Podcast, based in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and broadcasting to the world. You'll get expert business development advice, tips and experiences, and you'll hear interviews with business owners, CEOs, and business development reps. You'll get actionable advice on how to grow business. Brought to you by Capital Business Development, capitalbd.ca. Let's do it. Welcome to the Business Development Podcast. And now your expert host, Kelly Kennedy.
Hello, welcome to episode 189 of the Business Development Podcast. And on today's show, we're getting right into it. Community Questions November 2024. Guys, you know it. Community Questions is one of my favorite segments of the Business Development Podcast. It is truly an honor to be able to get up here and kind of do some virtual coaching with you guys once a month on this show. And so if it's your first time listening to the podcast, we try to get in a community questions episode once per month. And so if you have questions, business development questions, entrepreneurship questions, podcasting questions, I am happy to do my best to answer them for you. Please shoot them into me, podcast@capitalbd.ca. We will definitely try to get those handled for you on the next community questions episode. For my amazing Americans out there, just wanted to wish you guys an incredible Thanksgiving and Black Friday weekend. I hope that it is incredible for each and every one of you. And I hope that you guys take me up on my advice from last week, talking about buying our corporate Christmas gifts during Black Friday. It is an incredible time to do so. If you aren't planning to buy your clients gifts, why not? It's an amazing way to connect with your clients at Christmas time and let them know, hey, I'm a person and I care about you. And so for my incredible Americans out there, I hope that you guys have an incredible, incredible Thanksgiving. We have 8 questions today. I am trying, guys, just a heads up, I am trying to do our show updates at the end of the show now. Gotten a few comments about it. Want to make sure that we're listening to our fan base and that you guys are getting what you want. So we're going to try to get into things a little quicker than we used to around here. Bear with me, give me feedback on if you want it back the old way. But for now, for a little bit, we're going to be doing show updates at the end. And so stick around with us at the end if you want to know how we're doing with the show. All right. Our first question is from listener Jeanette. And she says, Kelly, I finally sat down to do some headshot editing and listened to one of your recent podcasts about solopreneurship. I need to re-listen to it and take notes, especially the second half, because I know there were lots of great ideas and I just needed to be a bit more focused. Do you regularly make 100 connection requests per week still? Or was that just in the very beginning? I put out a ton of requests and I'm building up more awareness about my business, but I don't know if I can make that many. Well, Jeanette, the answer is absolutely yes. I still send out 100 LinkedIn invites every single week. Sometimes I do it on behalf of clients that I'm working with. So if I know that there's a specific position, like a safety director or a director of operations or a supply chain manager for a various type of company and a various industry, I will still send out 100 invites a week. If it's just me and I want to connect with our incredible BD community, I might send, 50 invites to the BD community, to the marketing community, and I might send out, another 50 to a client community, depending on what they're after, whether that be safety director, operations manager, supply chain, something along those lines. But the answer is yes, Jeanette. And the reason being is this. At the end of the day, you get 100 invites a week. Whether you use them or not, that's all you get. They do not roll over into the very next week. And so for me, if I'm not doing that, I'm not using LinkedIn to its full capability. And I pay a lot of money every year to get a LinkedIn premium account so that I can grow this community, connect with new people, continue to build brand awareness on behalf of myself, my clients. And so, yes, the answer is absolutely yes, Jeanette. I know it seems like a lot, but trust me, you can get really quick at it, especially if you can start to do searching for specific positions that you want to connect with. In your case, it sounds like you do headshots, you do photography. Maybe you want to connect with a whole bunch of business owners. Try to just search owner or business owner on LinkedIn in the area that you're working in and just do a mass connect. Because here's the deal. If they're seeing the work that you're doing, it can't be a bad thing. At the end of the day, we want to build brand awareness, not just for our business, but for us as well. And so it never hurts, Jeanette, to just have the right people seeing your posts. So don't hesitate. I know it can seem like a lot. Trust me, 100 invites a week, eventually you'll be able to do it in like 30 minutes. It gets easier and easier and easier with time. And so you absolutely got this, Jeanette. Thank you for the great question. The answer is yes, every single week. Every single week, Jeanette, I send out 100 invites. I max out my connection requests because if I don't use them, I lose them. And at least this way, I'm constantly growing my network. I'm constantly getting people who can find this show relevant, my work relevant, seeing my work, seeing my clients' work. At the end of the day, it's about building brand recognition. And so that takes numbers, and you have 100 every single week you can send. Absolutely. You can do this, get to it. And I think you will find it will change everything for you. But just consistently send your 100 invites a week. Thanks, Jeanette. Our next question is from a listener named Billy. And Billy asks, what is the best way to remove roadblocks when pitching your company to a client that currently uses a competitor of yours? Oh my gosh, yes, this is always challenging, Billy. And I look back to my quality career for this one, because here's the deal. In Alberta, there were like quite a few different quality companies that were constantly working for basically the same fabrication and industrial construction clients and oil and gas clients. And so you pretty much always found yourself in this position. Billy, the best way to remove roadblocks is to understand that at the end of the day, not every company is going to be perfect every single time. And there will always be limitations to each company. And so no matter how good the company, there's going to be situations where they have to say, I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, I cannot achieve that, or I cannot provide what you need at this time. If that happens, Billy, you just want to be on the list. So at the end of the day, don't look at it as how do I replace this person? How do I remove all these roadblocks when they're using a competitor? Understand, Billy, there is absolutely nothing wrong with just being on the list. The funny thing about being on the list is that once you're on the list, it's only a matter of time until you get the call. So I don't want you to look at it as, oh, you're using my competitor. When you're pitching these people, just say, hey, you know, we get it. I'm sure they're incredible. If there's ever a situation that they can't provide, we would love to be on the list and love to get a call in that situation. We don't mind being number 2 for a little while. We absolutely get it. And this is what I used to say to my quality clients all the time. I don't mind being number 2. I don't mind being number 3. Just get me on the list, because guess what? Eventually, if you give us that shot, we will earn our way up to that number 1 spot. And I get it. That's what it's going to take. But let's just get on the list. And so, Billy, that's what I want you to do. Work to just get on that vendor list. Work to establish that relationship. If you do that, if you work to establish a relationship, you create a connection, a meaningful connection, trust me, it's only a matter of time. Don't look at it as roadblocks. Look at it as just a step along the way. There's always going to be somebody that they're working with before you. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Work to get on that vendor list. Work to establish the relationship. Work to show that customer how trustworthy you are and that you're absolutely interested in working with them, and your opportunity will come. Billy's second question is, what is the fine line between persistent follow-ups and being annoying? This is amazing, Billy. I love this question because I've been asked this a lot of times. And I've been told that I'm like the most kind, persistent person that some clients have ever dealt with. And I take that as a compliment because absolutely, that's it. There's nothing wrong with being persistent, actually, Billy. Being persistent is completely fine, but you have to do it in a kind way. And you have to respect the client, right? So here's the deal. If the client hasn't gotten back to you, my rule is always reach out once per week. So if you have the direct contact to this client, Billy, and you have their phone and you have their email, reach out once per week. Always be kind. Always treat them with respect. I don't care if it's your like 8th call or your 9th email, whatever it is. Always treat it like it's the first time. Let me tell you a story, Billy. I was dealing with an incredibly high level oil and gas client here in Alberta. And I was dealing with the head of supply chain for this company. Me and them became pretty great friends with the client that I worked with. And we were out at lunch one time and I just asked, I said, hey, what is it like being on the other side? What is it like having to receive, a ton of requests from business development people just like me? And he looked at me and he said, Kelly, at the company I work at, we receive up to 1,000 reach outs a week. Billy, 1,000 reach outs a week for this head of supply chain was receiving through their corporate emails and through his personal emails. So think about that. How are they supposed to filter that out? They have a ton of different needs. It's a gigantic company. Many of us are not thinking about what that must be like on the other side. And so I think what we have to do is just remember that just because somebody hasn't gotten back to you, it doesn't mean they don't need your product and service. It just means that when they were filtering through 1,000 emails that week, they weren't looking for the product and service that you use. Also, keep in mind, when I was talking to that person, they were mentioning that they use internal software to filter out emails so that they can specifically find what they're looking for, because let's get real, they can't look at 1,000 emails a week on a consistent basis. Not going to happen. They're using software. And so I have to say this, Billy, always reach out. If you haven't heard anything back from them, treat them with respect. Every third email or so, just hit them back like it's the very beginning, like you're introducing for the very first time. Always be kind, always be patient, never call them out. This is the secret, right? We never want to be rude. You're rude once, it's over. It's over. Always be kind, always treat them with respect. That is the fine line, okay? The other side of respect is this. If they do get back to you, Billy, and they say, hey, Billy, this is awesome, but this isn't something that we need at our company, or this isn't something that we are going to be needing for, a few years in some cases. Just respect that. Take them off the list. Don't follow up with them. You can always ask if they say that they do need this product and service. If they say, hey, you know what? We might need this, but we probably don't need this for a year. Just ask at the time. Say, hey, that sounds great. Do you mind if I reach out 8 months from now and just reintroduce myself and see if there might be a need then? If they give you permission, great. If they say, no, that's fine. I don't think it's something we want to chase it right now. Just respect it and take them off. The secret is respect. You just have to show respect to these people. So my rule to you is this. Reach out once per week until you either disqualify or get the meeting. Obviously, if you're at 15, 20 reach outs and it's not a gigantic client, it might be worth at that time exploring another person at that company. But here's the thing. Always be respectful and never reach out more than once per week. You will fly under the radar, and as long as you're kind each time and you're consistent and persistent, eventually you're going to get something. You're either going to disqualify this person or you're going to get the thing. Thank you. That was a really, really great question, and I hope that wasn't too much of a long-winded response. Billy's next question was, how do you find the balance between presenting the right amount of information during a pitch versus overselling your company during the pitch and potentially scaring a new client away? Where is the balance between less is more and not selling yourself enough to a client? That is another great question, Billy. And here's the thing. If a client is meeting with you, there's a really solid chance they've already done their research. They very likely already read your brochure. They very likely already checked out your website. They very likely already have a pretty good understanding of what you do. So here's the thing. Don't try to sell too hard. At the end of the day, try to build a relationship. I want you to flip the switch here. Because here's the thing. If the client is meeting with you, they likely already know what services you have, and they probably already know where they want to fit you in if there is an opportunity. But here's the thing. You have to create a great relationship, a trusting place for them to do that. And so here's the thing. I would say, Billy, at the end of the day, what you want to do is generate a relationship first. Build a platform. Have a great conversation with them. Ask them about their life. Ask them how they ended up where they're at. And then, later on, feel free to ask them if they see an opportunity here and if it's worth exploring further. But at the end of the day, if you work on selling yourself first, if you work on building a relationship and positioning yourself as a trusted person, the products and services are pretty much going to sell themselves. Because here's the deal. We live in a time when you can find the information on products and services everywhere. You can find it on websites. You can find it on social medias. You can find it on brochures that we're sending out everywhere we go. So here's the thing. There is no real balance between presenting the right amount of information versus overselling. The secret that I found was when I stopped trying so hard to sell and I tried harder to get to know the person, understand the company, understand their challenges, understand where they're coming from, I found that the products and services sold themselves, because if the relationship is there, the opportunities tend to present themselves to you. So Billy, flip the switch. It's not about selling as much as it is about listening. Ask great questions, listen. Ask more questions, listen. Ask them about themselves, listen. Some of the best sales meetings I've ever been to, the business was done in the last 5 minutes. The whole hour up to that point was more about just hanging out, understanding each other, learning about each other, asking great questions, asking personal questions, connecting questions, building rapport, building trust, and then the business comes. In my experience, that has always been the best way to do it. And if you can prioritize that relationship, making sure that person is looked after, they are absolutely going to prioritize you and your business and your services. And they're going to give you so much more opportunity to make a deal that makes sense for them. So at the end of the day, don't worry about presenting the right amount of information or overselling your company. Worry about learning about them. Ask great questions. Sit back, listen, ask more questions. Sit back, listen, ask personal questions. Don't be afraid to be a person. At the end of the day, people don't buy products and services. They buy people first. Be that person, and you're going to do incredible. Those were great questions, Billy. Thank you so much for those. Our next question is from a listener named Mark. And Mark asks, Kelly, I really appreciate what you're doing for the community. If it wasn't for your podcast, I would not know where to start. I did have a few questions if you had the chance to answer. Well, Mark, it is my pleasure, my friend. Thank you for finding us. His first question was, how are you staying up to date with industry trends and developments? Well, Mark, here's the deal. I'm in the industry, so I'm seeing it live. I'm not out of this. I literally still do business development. So I've worked with some incredibly high-end clients in Canada. I've worked with big companies, consulting. I still do coaching and training. So my ear is very much to the chopping block. Not to mention, I'm also A/B testing what works and what doesn't with regards to social media, things along those lines. So very much, it's about just being in it. It's very hard to stay up with industry trends unless you just have your ear to the ground and you're in it, but you're going to see it. If you follow people in business development and marketing, you're going to see the trends of things that are coming around. Obviously, 2023 was the year of AI, right? That was the real trendy thing. And then we all started using it, and that was incredible. And now we're kind of at this weird place now where we have to actually step back from the use of AI because now we're not standing out anymore. There's literally too much AI. 2024 has been the year of personal branding, right? Putting ourselves out there, being vulnerable, trying to build ourselves, not just the companies behind it. I see 2025, if we're talking about industry trends, I think 2025 is going to go full circle, right back to human-centric approach, right? People want to know that we care about them. People want to know that they matter, right? It's not just, you're not just being sold. Trust matters. Relationships matter. Genuine, authentic connection matters. If you're kind of wondering maybe where the trends are going, the trends are actually going the other way. They're going the other way, the opposite way from AI. Now they're heading back to authentic human connection. And so really, if you're wondering how to stay up to date with it, just be in it, be present with what's going. Think about it. Think about what works and what doesn't work. Think about what you're seeing and how it's relating with other people or how it's not relating with other people and kind of make your choices from there. But here's the thing. The funny thing about business development, Mark, is that it's always going to be human-centric. Even if we weren't in this weird paradigm where now we're kind of getting AI'd out. Even if that wasn't the case, it's always been about authentic human connection. It's always been about human-to-human connection. And so here's the thing. You can't go wrong. If you are trying to build authentic, genuine connections with people and you're doing it in an authentic, direct way, you're working to book in-person meetings, Teams meetings, face-to-face interactions, whether those be virtual or in person, and real relationships, 100%, you are going to do incredible in BD. It's when you start going the opposite way. It's when you start trying to let technology do the work for you that you end up in trouble. Stick to the tried and true. We almost have to go back now to go forward. I actually talked about this the other day, but we're at this weird place now where we have to go back. We almost have to go back to the 80s, right? We need genuine phone calls. We need people picking up the phone, calling, booking lunch, booking meetings, saying, hey, do you mind if I swing by the office and just say hello? Giving genuine client gifts at Christmas, being authentic people. Think about it from this standpoint. If it makes you feel warm and fuzzy, it probably makes your clients feel warm and fuzzy. If you can make your clients feel warm and fuzzy, they are going to love you. They are not going anywhere. I have relationships from over 10 years ago from my business development career who are still friends today, Mark, who are still friends today, because that is what matters. Genuine connection matters. And guess what? When I worked in that industry, they only went to me. Like there was no other companies because we had the relationships. We had great relationships. And so if you can prioritize people, treat people like the incredible individuals they are, you are going to do fine. And no matter what the latest trend and development is, it's always going to circle back to authentic human connection. That was a really great question, Mark. I hope that I didn't go too far out of the realm on that one. Mark's next question was, what kind of advice could you give someone that is now transitioning into business development? Well, great question. Here's the thing. Don't worry so much about the trends and developments. Worry about being an incredible individual. Worry about being somebody that people like, that people want to do business with. At the end of the day, if you can work on your soft skills, if you can prioritize picking up a phone instead of, sending a message on LinkedIn, if you can prioritize, an in-person meeting or a FaceTime meeting over a phone call or an email campaign, you are going to do so much better, because at the end of the day, we're in this really weird place now, Mark, where we really are craving human connection. Like I said, the advent of AI has been incredible. Don't get me wrong. I still use AI. I use AI for a lot of things, but I am actually working right now to go back, to take a big step back from it and figure out, how can I write social posts myself again? How can I connect in a more authentic way? In my case, I'm taking on video. Video has been something that's been really scary for me, Mark. I've really struggled with it. I'm still struggling with it. It's one of those weird things where I know that I need to do it and I know that it's the right way forward, but it can be incredibly uncomfortable. It can be incredibly challenging. And so for me, that's how I'm working to be more authentic in 2025. I think if you're looking to transition into business development, prioritize people, figure out how to be as authentic as possible, and just be a genuine, awesome person. And don't be afraid to do the legwork. Don't be afraid to make the calls. Don't be afraid to book the face-to-face meetings. Don't be afraid to book Teams meetings. At the end of the day, all of these things generate relationships, which lead to business and opportunity for you guys over time. Business development, it's not an instant fix, right? A lot of companies, they jump into business development a little bit too late. They're already in trouble. They haven't prioritized it. Then they run out of business. And they're like, oh crap, we need business development. The funny thing was they needed business development the whole time. Business development isn't something that you just turn on and off like a tap. It takes a little while for everything to kind of get rolling. It is not a switch. It's not an instant switch, right? So we ultimately need people to be consistently knocking doors, consistently meeting new people, consistently finding new opportunities for the business. I would say if you're just transitioning into business development right now, don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to be authentic. Don't be afraid to pick up the phone. If you haven't been working on your LinkedIn presence, it's a great time to start. The reality is, as we move forward, building a personal brand is going to go hand in hand with your business development career. I don't think it would be very easy anymore to do business development and not have, an online social media presence of some type, because it's just the way that everybody is finding other people at this point. If you like people, if you like building relationships, if you're not afraid to pick up the phone and you're not afraid to create some meaningful connections, you are absolutely going to do incredible. And I wish you the best of luck on your journey. Our next question is from a listener in Berlin named Nadine. Nadine, it's an absolute honor. I love our international community. If you are international, you guys are incredible. We have a great listenership here in Canada, a great listenership here in the United States and North America. But my gosh, I never, ever thought, guys, that we would be talking to people in Germany, that we would be talking to people in Australia, that we would be talking to people in Africa and around the world. It is truly an honor, a total honor. And so thank you, Nadine. Thank you for listening to us from Berlin. And Nadine says, hey, Kelly, I do have a question. Do you have a recommendation for an AI tool that can be used to create information and posts for LinkedIn? You mentioned something in one of your early episodes called Predis AI. Okay, Nadine, yes, you're absolutely right. And at the very beginning of this show, we were just starting to experiment with AI. The funny thing is, when I did that episode, Nadine, I'm not even sure that I'd played with ChatGPT yet. It was really that new. And one of the clients that I'd been working with had Predis AI. And it was kind of an early mix between Canva and a few other things. And you could create some pretty cool videos fairly easily, literally automated. And in the beginning, it was kind of neat. But very quickly, I kind of realized that there are limits to it. And, AI content, it's not incredible. It's good, But the problem is it doesn't stand out anymore. And so I would say, Nadine, at this point, what I would recommend to you is get good with Canva. If you guys are looking to create social media posts, Canva is incredible. It might actually be the best. If you know how to use, Adobe Premiere and you can do video, things like that. Video is really hitting hard right now, guys. If you can do video, it's awesome. But if you're just looking to get some content out there, create some stuff, don't be afraid to do a few things. First off, never be afraid to just take a picture with your phone and talk authentically about it. You would be surprised how many people can connect with that. There's something incredibly captivating about a personal photo and just having a conversation about it or talking about a moment. I always recommend my coaching clients, take pictures everywhere you go. You don't have to post about them immediately, but they give you a whole bunch of content for the future that you absolutely, absolutely can lean back on in the future. And so don't be afraid to take photos. Get good with a tool like Canva, which can create video, photos. You can add captions. You can do all sorts of stuff. Don't be afraid to video yourself and use a program like Descript to edit out some pretty incredible video for you. We use that here at the BDP. I use it personally as well with some of the videos I'm putting out to the world now, as you may know. There are incredible programs. ChatGPT is obviously still the king now in content. No AI pictures are really that great at the moment. At least I've struggled with them. Not to mention, they're not really that authentic. And so the goal here is to be as authentic as possible, Nadine. So I would say at this point, there's lots of tools out there. I've only named a few, but I want you to ask yourself, how can I be the most authentic version of myself in this post for LinkedIn? And I think you're going to find more often than not, the answer is not going to be using an AI tool. It's going to be using a raw tool like a camera and just hand typing something at this point, Nadine. It really is. I know it sounds crazy and it's funny because it's very contradictory, I think, to even what I was thinking when I launched the show and when I was using Predis and stuff for the first time. It was like mind-blowing. It was really cool. But at this point, AI is everywhere. And if you want to stand out, you almost have to go back to your Facebook days and just hand write out a post and accompany it with an authentic picture or video. Trust me, it's going to get incredible engagement. You still have to pepper these in, obviously, with your corporate posts. But if you can mix personal and corporate posts together on your page, you're going to have way more engagement and you're going to create a much better following for both you and your business. Nadine, that was a great question. Thank you so much for listening. Our last question is from a longtime listener named Daniel. And Daniel asks, hey, Kelly, question about your LinkedIn process. When you send out an invite to connect and they do not accept, do you still follow up or try to engage with them? Great question, Daniel. Absolutely. And it very much depends on what position they are at the company. So if I've done my research, Daniel, and I know that this particular individual is the right person at an organization for me to follow up with, yes, I will continue to pursue. I will actually try to find a more direct contact way. So, the reality is the LinkedIn connection is really just a formality. It's a great formality. It gives us warm contact, which is ultimately what we want. The funny thing is, though, at the end of the day, if you know you have the right person, you don't necessarily have to wait. You can figure out what location they work at. You can call the office directly. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get through and you'll be able to get to a voicemail or a direct email. If you can get to voicemail or direct email, absolutely bypass the LinkedIn digital introduction stage, take it straight to the weekly contact stage, follow up till you either get the meeting or disqualify. So the answer is yes, absolutely, I do. But once again, this would only be when I know for a fact I have the right person. If I'm reaching out to multiple people at an organization, I'm not confident that this person is going to be the right person anyway. It was just an avenue that I was working on taking. Then maybe not. I might not reach out to them. But once again, if you know you have the right person, you got like the director of supply chain or whatever, you're pretty darn confident, don't worry about it. Keep going. Find the direct phone number and email, reach out, book that meeting, and you got this. Thank you, Daniel. Once again, I appreciate you and I appreciate this question. All right. That takes us to the end of community questions, guys. Let's head into the show update. We are sitting at 3,023 followers on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And my gosh, guys, if you guys want to help this show, tell a friend, tell a family member, and then hop on over wherever you listen, give us a like, give us a rating, and give us a follow. It is a completely free way, and it absolutely, absolutely helps shows like ours grow. And we appreciate that immensely. We are sitting at 225,000 downloads, guys. Absolutely incredible. If you guys want to keep up with the show, LinkedIn is the place, Instagram is the place. So we have a relatively new Instagram account, guys. So if you do want to come and follow us on Instagram, I am posting on there, putting stuff up pretty much daily. If you guys want to head over to LinkedIn, that is our world. That is where this show took off from. That is where this show grew. And LinkedIn is still the place. Just head on over, follow me, Kelly Kennedy, and follow the Business Development Podcast page. And you guys are going to find stuff up there all the time. We're posting clips from shows. I'm putting up clips from recordings as I'm recording them so you guys can see who's coming out and what's going on. I just put out the December guest list, guys. So if you guys want to see who's coming on for December, head on over to LinkedIn. It is all right there. I love it when you guys connect with me. I love hearing from you guys, our incredible rockstar community. Could not do this show without you. And so do that, please. Come follow us on LinkedIn. Come join that conversation. We appreciate it immensely. If you guys are hearing this show and you guys are looking for a solution, something to help you guys out with your business development processes in 2025, you guys have to check out my Business Development Mastery Program. It is a 3-month program, 6 sessions over those 3 months. We are going to review your marketing materials. We're going to identify the right clients at your organizations. We are going to create target lists. We're going to chat about how to utilize and optimize the CRM. We are going to chat about the full active marketing process. And guess what? We are also going to be chatting about personal branding and how to start establishing our personal brands along with our corporate brands here in 2025. And guys, mark my words, it is going to be critical in 2025. And I very much look forward to booking an introduction with anybody who wants to check this out. Feel free to go on to Capital Business Development website, capitalbd.ca, or if you go to LinkedIn and click the Amplify Your Impact button underneath my profile picture, Kelly Kennedy, you can go there and book a free discovery call, and we can chat about what that program might look like for you guys. Shoutouts this week: Chloe Wu, Zale Moransky, Lewis Matthews, Susan Paseka, Colin Harms, Deanna Keene, Jory Evans, Jemiah Zagel, Barry William, Lauren Graff, Gary Noseworthy, Vijayan Swaminathan, Brian Hayes, Nicole O'Neill, Jason Chakalakal, Irina Horyacheva, Tatiana Zametalina, Steve Austin, Brandon Fuchs, Michelle Sammy Weeb, Husam Zakum, and Steve Campbell. Until next time, this has been episode 189 of the Business Development Podcast, and we will catch you on the flip side.
This has been the Business Development Podcast with Kelly Kennedy. Kelly has 15 years in sales and business development experience within the Alberta oil and gas industry and founded his own business development firm in 2020. His passion and his specialization is in customer relationship generation and business development. The show is brought to you by Capital Business Development, your business development specialists. For more, we invite you to the website at www.capitalbd.ca. See you next time on the Business Development Podcast.
Hey, rock stars, you've heard the show, implemented some of the lessons, and still you want more. How about a one-on-one 3-month personalized coaching program with me, Kelly Kennedy? We'll work together to establish an effective business development program, overcome obstacles, and accomplish your growth goals in 2024. To book your free discovery call today, shoot me an email at podcast@capitalbd.ca or book coaching directly from my LinkedIn profile. Book your discovery call now and take that next step in your journey towards success. Your future starts today.